Hello, people. I've come on to share some ideas and some thoughts and a question. My friend Brian and I have been hanging out, and recently many of our discussions have turned into arguments, and tonight was no different. But, I think that we do that because it's necessary for the both of us to progress in our line of thought. We know each other so well that in order for us to keep our relationship interesting, especially while we're not out adventuring, seeing different places, we've got to, I guess, kind of keep things interesting in other ways, like having there be intellectual conflict between us. And this evening we were talking about evolution, and it got to a kind of a place where he was arguing that common sense would dictate, in regards to extinction, that other species of animals would cause other species of animals extinction, non-human species of animal. And I was expressing to him that I couldn't think of an example of a non-human species of animal that had caused another species of animal extinction. And in this book called Ishmael, written by Daniel Quinn, there is a direct distinction between humans and other non-human species of animals. And that distinction was that humans were the only ones that would take more than they needed in order to propagate the species, to keep the genes alive. All other species of animal, they tend to just take what they need and leave the rest. And they don't kill needlessly. They kill for their own survival. They kill when they are worried about themselves being hunted and killed, or they kill when they need to eat. And there are definitely opportunistic animals, but I personally don't know of an instance when a species of animal would, not by choice, but just by happenstance, take out another species of animal. I understand that the environment and that the atmosphere have definitely wiped out millions of species of animals off the planet, and that humans have wiped out hundreds of thousands of species of animals off the planet. But I don't know of a non-human species of animal that has wiped out any species of animal off the planet. So if you know of one, or can think of how that would happen, feel free to send a comment. I haven't been able to find any online in my research, so I figure go to the communities online and maybe I can find an answer. Maybe you guys have an answer. My friend Matt is going to Jamaica for 2 years, joining the Peace Corps, and I'm gonna miss him a lot. Getting to spend time with him last year and this year, since he's been back from Washington, D.C., has been a joy. My friend Brian is going to live in New Orleans for the summer, and when he gets back, he's most likely going to be moving to San Francisco to further his career. And my mom passed away, and I feel like those two are the only two people that I really have close ties with. My roommate Ben's a really nice guy, but there's a lack of history and connection, and they're just all the women that I tend to meet nowadays. And this isn't a generalization about all women, just the women that I tend to bump into. They tend to be pretty selfish and want things from me. My ex-girlfriend Marissa, she came down for 2 weeks, and in the 2 weeks we had spoken about hanging out, and I have no feelings towards Marissa besides platonic, but she flaked, and now she's leaving, and I can't continue a friendship with somebody. While I'm forgiving to no end, I will always forgive her and anybody else. when driving throughout the country, I made a point to stop in South Bend, Indiana, to see her at the University of Notre Dame, and she was in the same city that we grew up in, and she couldn't pay me the courtesy of a visit or whatever. And but it's not just her, and I hate to be judgmental, but I do tend to have a very high standard when it comes to who I consider a friend and who I consider an acquaintance. And I guess Marissa is just another acquaintance. But I definitely have a longing for intimacy, and it's interesting how studies show that companionship and company and just being social with people tends to make a person happier. Babies that are left by themselves, they tend not to do as well as babies that are given, affection and are played with. And it's not the same online. I mean, I play with people online. I tend to, share links on Facebook and MySpace and YouTube and AIM and all of these different facets. And I love the internet. I mean, I spend 8 hours online every day voluntarily, just researching things and finding cool videos, great human triumphs, funny things, interesting things, new developments in the human spectrum, whether it's celebrity or political or any of that. What was the point? The point was that it's not the same kind of human communication that betters us as people. So I have a longing for that, but Los Angeles isn't the right place for it. I, for a very long time, have felt that I need to solidify or validate my existence by gaining acceptance through my peers. And when my peers kind of broke open after high school into all age groups, just people that are alive at the same time as me, I decided to get acceptance through the internet from as many people as possible, and I felt that celebrity was the best way to achieve that. So I, became friends with celebrities, and it's just such a bullshit. It's just such a bullshit function. Not celebrity in and of itself, because I don't blame any celebrity for becoming a celebrity, but wanting to become a celebrity to validate one's existence or gain acceptance from celebrities for that reason. And that's the only real worthwhile reason to live in LA, is to work in the entertainment industry. But the entertainment industry in and of itself is just kind of a bullshit platform for people to feel better than they are. If you don't live in Hollywood, you have no idea how often you hear people dropping names or claiming to have close relationships with people, or have worked or contacted people that other people know about, people of notoriety. It's just, it's maddening. And now that my close friends are leaving this area pretty much permanently, I don't think Matt's coming back. I think Brian has also made a vow no longer to live with his parents, and now that I don't have any ties here except for, a few people. I mean, I've made some great acquaintances, don't get me wrong. There are some awesome people in LA. It's just that there are very few that I would consider friends, and none that I feel a level of intimacy with. So it's time for me to go and start working on projects. Those that are close with me know the projects that I have set up for the future, and those that aren't. I've got some good stuff in the works. I'm not going to oversell it. Because I don't want people stealing my ideas, and I do believe in taking credit for one's achievements, and B, because I want to be the one in control of it. I am not a control freak in the least. In fact, I'm a very disorganized person, but when it comes to an idea that I want carried out, I feel like it's time for me to mature and see the idea through. And I have a really good team of people. There's a lot of talented people out there, and I feel like I've made strong enough communication with enough people online to carry out some great ideas, and so I'm excited about that. So work is important, feeling like I'm achieving something of greatness. Friendships and intimacy and close relationships and romance and all of that, something that I'm definitely lacking. And family. I went on a road trip this year. A lot of you don't know this, some of you do, but I went on a road trip this year up through the West Coast, Oregon and Washington and Vancouver and a lot of British Columbia, and I spent time with my family and some people, some of you, that I had meant to be spending time with. And then I drove across the country through Iowa to the university, the Maharishi University of Management in Iowa, where people go and gravitate towards to learn to meditate and find their center. And I think I was pretty judgmental of that place. I'm going to give it another try. New York, I visited the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, and I visited Matt in Washington, D.C., and the birthplace of Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I feel like I need to go to India and visit the birthplace of Buddha, Gandhi, two figures that have been very influential to me, and just see what it's all about for a little while as well. But as far as like a community that I fit into, I think there are those that claim that being judgmental is harsh and 100% negative, but I think that it's important to be judgmental and critical of things, as long as you are willing to apply those same standards of judgment to yourself, so that you're not being hypocritical and you don't live in a web of contradiction. Then that's cool and that's fine. I was watching Matt's. I'm going to miss Matt a lot when he goes to Jamaica. I hope to visit him in Jamaica. I was watching Amanda's videos and just reminded of what a pure soul she is and what an honest person she is. There's civilization has forced us to become locked into this mode of thought that is very routine, stripped us of our animal nature, and it's kind of sad that we feel a need to live up to other people's ideals. I don't think that any of the people that I'm criticizing should change themselves in order to live up to my ideals. My ideals are my own. They've gotten to become this way through a lifetime of experience, perhaps lifetimes of experiences. Amanda spoke about reincarnation and how it probably wouldn't make sense to a lot of people, but it made sense to her because she felt it. I feel that we base too much of our life off of science, data, proof. I'm agnostic, and I'm not just agnostic to God and the nature of God. I'm agnostic to everything. I don't know what's out there. I can't ever tell that something is true objectively, only subjectively. I am a subjective idealist. I've said it time and time again. My reality is different than everybody's reality because my reality is my own. We play the game of politics. The View is the center point. What a perfect name for humans coming together and trying to compromise, yet at the same time being unwilling to compromise. I choose to label myself as vegan and liberal and things that I closely identify myself with, but I'm not willing to defend those viewpoints. I'm only willing to communicate why I am the way that I am, why I'm speaking in this syllabic tone because I'm choosing to communicate this way for a reason. It's the removal of inflection. I'm not passionate about any of this. I've just got a stream of consciousness going on right now. But there's a balance that needs to take place between progressives and conservatives. And it's that compromise. I mean, on one end of things you have conservatives who are protecting the old ways of life that have been tried and proven and true. And then on one side you have the progressives who seek a better way of life, what they deem as a better way of life, and they're willing to take risks in order to see that better way of life through. But the problem is that on both sides of the equation you have error. Progressives are willing to risk too much at times for change, and there is a greed motive, manipulation. Same on the conservatives. People are being too safe, and there's also corruption on this end as well. I think we need to take the best of both worlds and fuse them together and really compromise. I think that should be a mantra, compromise. I think that honesty should be I had it tattooed on myself so that I could pull down my shirt and be able to remind myself and others how important it is to be honest. We have nothing to lose in honesty. What about racism? We are racist. I am racist. Everybody is racist. It's our inability to face ourselves that creates inadequacy and deceit and betrayal. I'm not racist. You're not honest. I'm not laying blame. Maybe, perhaps I'm wrong. I'm very willing to accept the fact that I might be wrong. Perhaps there are people out there that are pure in their intentions and are not racist and are 100% selfless and give themselves 100% selflessly, 100% altruism of action and intention. But what I have found to be true is that the judgments that we make are for our own understanding and benefit. We attempt to make ourselves seem better than we are. Appearance is everything, right? I think that we need to come together as a people and see this journey through. The people that whistle at me to try to embarrass me because of my long hair and call me a faggot, there's a lot of lack of self-esteem in them that would force them to put me down in such a way. And putting each other down is out of fear. Ian Crossland and I have had a few conversations, and I respect him very much. I respect him for his ability to open himself up candidly and without any kind of filters or censors upon himself to communicate. I'm not going to take this opportunity to judge him because we all have flaws. I have flaws and faults. But one thing that we definitely disagree about is fear. He thinks that it's important to embrace the reasons for our fear and come to realize that we will always be afraid. I am afraid. But it's not of myself, and it's not of other people per se, and it's definitely not of death. It's fear of lack of accomplishment. It's fear that I'm wasting my time. And that's a genuine fear. I fear others when they choose to flex their proverbial muscle against those they deem less worthy of them. It's like the selfish gene. I didn't read it, but what I gathered from Dawkins' book is that the selfish gene is inherent in all humans, and it's what got us all to be what we consider to be the top of the food chain, or the most superior of all species of animal. But I take that a step further, and I show that within our species, altruism also has enabled us to help each other out. And so you have, as with all things, this balance. And there is corruption and there is altruism. You have organizations like the Red Cross, who on both ends are being controlled and are only able to function by the charity of others and the unwillingness of others to be apathetic in this world. Back to the selfish gene, you have humans in power that are very selfish. They'd rather see themselves benefit by any action than any other beings on the planet. We are all like this to a certain extent, so I don't mean to lay too harsh of a judgment. It's when they have all that they need plus double what they need, and they continue to limit access to those in need. It's a pretty grim situation, because it's come to be known as a cliche, but there are those that are starving and dying. What am I doing? I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it, but it's something. I think about it a lot. It prevents me from existing in a state of pure thoughtlessness about it. I would love to not think about the suffering of others in the world. I'm not 100% Buddhist, because I don't believe that 100% of existence is suffering. I believe 100% of existence is the balance of suffering and pleasure. Is this reality an illusion? It all depends on who you are. This reality is as real as any other reality, any other plane of existence, any other dimension. I truly believe that. We are here to experience reality and share our perceptions of reality with one another. Without sharing the experience, then we are like an island. And as an island, you might we can't say that it's all an illusion, because what we have considered and qualified illusion to be is something that has come out of this existence in this reality. So we'd be basing it on a false concept. Reality life is what comes out of chance. I am here by chance. That chance is somewhat controlled and somewhat random, and it is the balance. The absolutists in this world that choose to label things as one way, the other, or no way, tend to lack the ability to come together with the rest of us and see things as they are, which is unknown. The meaning of knowledge is to know that you know nothing. Confucius. Well, what does that mean? How can you know that you don't know? You can't know that you don't know. How can you know that you know? Well, you can't know that you know. It's a contradiction. Life is a contradiction. And we have to accept that there is no perfect. Perfect is just like beauty. It is what the judge chooses for it to be in the moment. And our ideas of what perfection and beauty and purity and evil and everything in between is up to you. So I can only hope that while we're in this together, we can help each other find happiness. The only bad part is that what makes one person happy will inevitably make another person sad. So we have to sacrifice pure happiness in order for us to enable others to become a little bit more happy. It's an act of sacrifice. And if we can sacrifice, then we can achieve greater things. Because if we are sacrificing to the collective, which is a whole other thing I have to get into, the collective is you and me sharing wavelengths. I don't expect anybody to agree with 100% of the things that I say. But I expect somebody out there to agree with some part of what I say. I expect nobody out there to agree with none of what I say, but enough people exist in the world to agree with different aspects of what I say that together I'm supported by the collective that I am a part of. If I wasn't supported by the collective I'm a part of, I wouldn't be a part of this collective. I would be a part of a different collective. The collective is an interesting idea. It came about in my drive to Santa Cruz with my ex-girlfriend Ashley and her friend Ariel. Ariel was studying Hinduism, and Ashley had brought out that in her talks with Ariel, they had educated each other to come to terms with God in Hinduism being the collective unconscious. And it's a term I had never heard before, the collective unconscious. And so I took that literally. God is the collective unconscious. God is all of us when we are unconscious coming together as a real collective. Only later did I put that together with my only understanding of a collective in the Borg from Star Trek. They existed as a collective. One mind is it's like an overmind kind of thing, where each person is important to the collective, but ultimately the collective is more important than any mind in it. And that relates back to Star Trek II, when Spock said, it is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Then, when I grew up, I played StarCraft, and there was the Zerg, and they had the Overmind, and they were all controlled by the Overmind, which was sort of a collective. And then later, I learned about bees and ants and how they operate in collectives. And I believe that the collective unconsciousness that I misinterpreted Hindus as believing is God back in the day when I was told that. It's not just humans. It's all organisms and beings in different dimensions that we're not even aware of coming together. We are more closely connected with humans. We are more closely connected with members of the same culture because we think similarly to them. So it's about breaking down these barriers. It's about shattering the status quo and learning from each other. The internet is the permeation. It is the growth. It is the idea of the collective unconsciousness becoming a physical manifestation. That's why I spend so much time believing that I am connected to the rest of you. Because you are the same woven pieces, the same organic matter that I am. We breathe in the same air. We breathe out the same air. We recycle the oxygen that becomes us through our bloodstream. We shit, and our shit becomes our food. And we share our food, which means that we share our shit ultimately. And when you strip out the connotation, it all makes sense. We are recycling into and out of each other. So, what makes our consciousnesses any different? You let thoughts exit out of your head. And in exchange, you let thoughts enter into your head. It's this constant change and exchange of information, data, vibrations. That is life. So in saying nothing in so many words, I'm going to go rest, having emptied my mind a little. And hopefully I'll be able to experience a little bit more bliss tonight. So I thank you. And I look forward to hearing from you. Please share with me, because without you sharing with me, I am less whole than I would be. Jai Janandra.